Hello again, CNC friends. I'm still, this is actually a follow-up video to the first video I made talking about the problem that I had with the racking of the gantry on the CNC machine. So we did discover that there is a problem with this driver, which would explain the racking of the gantry, because obviously one motor is going to be turning and the other one's just simply not. So this is the driver, and this is, let me make sure this is the right one. Yeah. Okay, so this one had, all the other LEDs were green on the other three stepper drivers, but this one was green and the red was a solid red. It wasn't a blinking red or anything like that. I kind of messed up the dip switches there when I picked it up, so I already wrote them down, the way all these dip switches were configured. Sorry about the messy writing. So this one up here is the one that we are talking about. We can see that switch 1, 2, and 3 are in the orientation of off for 1, off for 2, on for switch 3, which gives it a reference current, or a resting current, whatever that means, of 3.71 amps and the peak at 4.45. Now, switch number 4 was turned off, which means half current. Okay, and then switch 5, 6, 7, and 8 are off, on, off, which I think, according to the chart, means it's set for 2,000 microsteps. So just to be sure, so 5, 6, 7, 8 are off, on, off. And when we look at our chart here, we can see that off, on, off is in reference to 2,000 microsteps. Okay, so for switch 1, 2, and 3, we have off, on. So when we look at our sheet, we can see this one says off, on. So 3.71 and 4.45. Okay. Now, I looked up the manual online, and basically it says that this driver has built-in protection, over voltage protection. If it exceeds 94 volts, the power indicator light the LED light turns red. It offers over current protection, apparently, and also short circuit protection. And it says for short circuit protection, the LED turns red, or the motor shaft itself will turn freely. But it says reset by repowering it to make it function properly again, after removing the above problems. Okay, so we can see that this thing's obviously been powered down. I have it out of the electronics cabinet, and it's certainly not plugged in anymore, obviously. So I went downstairs and tried to plug it back in, and it's the same thing. The light is red. It's not functioning. Okay, now, a couple years ago, I tried to build my own CNC machine with some similar things. So I have quite a few. I still have 4 of these, actually. So these are obviously not the DMA 860H, but DM 860A. A lot of things are quite similar about them. So for my configuration, what I came up with for my old machine was to do it in this order. And you can see the switch numbers there, and which orientation the switches are in. So I had it set for 3.5 for the reference, or the resting current, and the peak at 4.9. Half current as well, same as the other one. And then instead of 2,000 microsteps for this, for the new machines, microsteps, I had mine set for 1,600, so not a big deal. But if we look at our chart here for the voltage, for the current, yeah, mine was set to off, on, right? Yeah, off, off, on, which was the resting current at 3.5 amps and the peak at 4.9 instead of the other one, which was 3.71 or the peak at 4.45. Now the micro steps, we already talked about that, so that could be adjusted. So this one has the option for me to control it for 2000 micro steps, just like the one that's damaged. But the current, I don't really have the option to set it at 3.71 and 4.45. The closest we can get is, yeah, these are the opposite. So the closest we could get is 3.5 resting current and 4.9 for the peak. So I wanted to know if I could use this driver, because I know these ones work. Can I switch out this damaged one for this one? Now this is for the y-axis, so there is two of them. So I figured I should just, if I'm going to switch one, maybe I should just put two of these on the machine. But the question is, will that create any kind of over voltage problem? Will it screw up anything with the settings of Mach 3? I mean, like, it's pretty close. 3.5 for the resting current opposed to 3.71. And 4.9 for the peak, and 4.45 for the peak on the damaged one as well. Now, would that be a problem? Would that be an over voltage issue? Should I make it go lower than that to be safe? Or is this just something that's not going to be compatible with my machine? I think, I can't remember, the motors that I bought for my old machine for this driver were 4.5 amps, I think. And the motors on the machine with this damaged driver are 5 amp. And the other question is since I reset this thing, or apparently reset it by unpowering it, is the red LED still coming on because there's not any damage to this, but the damage to the motor? Is that even possible? Could I have damaged the motor by too much voltage? I opened up this driver and it has a fuse inside of it. It doesn't look like the wire inside the fuse is broken. And the voltmeter the multimeter we used, apparently it had continuity, so I don't think it's damaged. But that's the question. Is this staying red because there's a problem with the motor? Or is a little over voltage for the motor, can it actually destroy it? Or is it just simply a problem within this unit? So yeah, sorry to make such a long video, but I just want to know if it's possible with those settings that I showed on the paper. Is it possible to swap this junk one out with this one here? Okay, thanks a lot.